Hey everybody, what's up? Jim Cyril and Tanya Klein here from Coverage Inc., the leader in screenplay analysis, development, and editing services for over 20 years. Tanya, what's up? What do we got in the hopper today?
Today we're going to talk about marketability.
Ooh,
Yes, marketability, it's important. And as writers, often that's not something we want to think about because we want to write our stories. And marketability does not really usually figure into what stories we like, what stories we want to write. However, we have to also remember that it's a business. And in particular, if you're still trying to break in, then you have to be aware of what's marketable and what's not. For example, what are the marketable genres right now? Rom-coms, believe it or not. I mean, there were many, many, many years. Rom-coms were huge in the 90s, and then they
yep,
went away, and you couldn't get arrested with a rom-com. And
yep,
now they're back
they're
because
back.
yes, big time because the streamers have discovered them and rom-coms are everywhere. Thrillers, I mean, they're kind of an evergreen, but thrillers, very marketable.
Yeah,
Horror
has to be good.
has to
That's
be
the thing.
good.
A lot of people write thrillers and they're not that good. Thrillers are actually very hard to write well.
Yes, because thrillers have to thrill. Uh,
Right.
horror has a huge moment right now. And
Always, always horror. I would also add action to the,
yes,
action were kind of like out of favor for a while, sort of post 80s and 90s. They sort of fell off a cliff. They're kind of back. They're not back in the way they used to be back, but people will always read a good action script. We're just kind of missing the big action stars that we had back in the day to really drive those. But yeah, a good action will generally get attention. But yeah, there's a couple of genres that are just tough, just on the face. Westerns, that's always a tough one. A lot of people love westerns, but they just are not rewarded generally at the box office. And when they do get made nowadays, they tend to be for streaming for like 2 million bucks. Comedies, not in a good place right now. Naked Gun reboot did okay. People were really hoping that that would revitalize the whole genre. It didn't really. Everybody loves comedies, but it's tough right now with you know, everybody's in a kind of weird headspace and comedies are just tough. Um, what else? A period anything. Period dramas, war dramas, costume dramas, anything that's like before even the 80s, even the 90s, is tough because it's just expensive. And even if it can be done relatively cheaply, people perceive them as expensive, especially anything like 1950s or earlier. Then we're talking custom everything. Everything's got to be rented, period costumes for the extras and vehicles. Oh my God. It's like producers just no, unless you're an established commodity, in which case, sure, they're happy to read your period script. But if you're just coming in from the cold,
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that basically hints to what marketability actually is. So
yeah,
let's briefly talk about that. Marketability essentially means it's something the representatives look at and go, I can sell this. Because that is what they need. They need stuff that they can sell because they're also running a business and they need to keep on the lights.
right.
And what does it mean that they can sell it? It means this is a script that can be made on a budget, and it is a script that the producer can sell for a profit. So that brings us to budget. And that is also one of the big reasons why, for example, period is such a problem because period is always higher budget. Because again, you need the set dressing, you need the costumes, you need the period cars, the period houses, the period everything.
Everything.
So that heightens the budget. And let's say you love this story, and this story is a period story. So my first question to you is, can you write it in the present?
Yeah.
And that might seem absurd, just saying it. But look at, for example, at Austenland, which is such a great example
Yeah.
of, oh my God, I love Jane Austen novels. Hey, How about I take it, I put it in the present. It's actually very cheap. It's only a few people in a house. I mean, you still have the costumes, but it's essentially a Jane Austen story. And
Yeah.
if you haven't, checked out Austenland, I highly recommend it. It's
Great
wonderful.
movie. Great
Yeah.
movie.
For example, so that would be your first step. Or what do you like about that story? Which aspect in particular do you like about that story? And again, can you bring that into the present?
Yeah. So I think the takeaway, well, there's a couple takeaways, but the first takeaway here is I don't want anybody watching this or any of our writers to think like they need to write one of the marketable scripts in one of those genres if that's not your cup of tea. I mean, unless you've got a really cool idea for a mashup or something and you think you could bring something new to it and you're excited to do it, in which case, go for it. But in other words, don't be writing a romantic comedy just because you think that that could sell, right? If you're not a romantic comedy person, it's not going to go well. The people who do that, they live, eat, and breathe this world. They've seen all these movies 100 times. They ingest it like oxygen, right? You have to be whatever it is that you're writing, it has to be within your DNA to do that. That said, you can be the type of person who maybe comes in and sort of refreshes or reinvigorates something by bringing that little special something something of that you have to the table. Like a Western, like I said before, they're tough, right? But lately we've seen horror Westerns, like Bone Tomahawk, great example. We've seen Westerns, Westerns with zombies, Westerns with aliens. That was a flop, but the point is, it's potentially reinvigorating the genre, bringing something fresh to something that could be considered less marketable otherwise.
Absolutely. And yeah, budget is definitely a consideration. So if you're hired by a studio, you're not watching this video. If the studio says here it's $250 million budget, great, good for you. So if
Yep.
you're still trying to break in, there are just certain things you have to be aware of. Don't write a script with 12 armies fighting in space. Yeah, don't. You're not going to break in with that.
Yeah, and don't write a history lesson, even if you love history. These are not movies, generally speaking. Might be a miniseries, could be.
But yes, so marketability, keep it in mind.
Yeah, and budget, whatever it is, whatever, even if you're writing in a less marketable genre, always think about what's the most affordable way to do this. Do I need this crowd scene? Do I need this special effect? Right? Once you start thinking like a producer, it might unlock more possibilities for selling something that could be otherwise considered less marketable.
If you have any questions, you can always email us at info@coverageinc.com. That's ink, like the ink in a pen, ink.com, coverageinc.com.
Smash that like button. It's right there. It's right. See it? It's right there. Or no, it's here. I don't know. It's up there somewhere. And there's a subscribe thing as well. I don't know, this YouTube stuff, whatever. Just do the stuff. Do the stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.